Hello, good evening, and welcome to I was going to say the Fatback Four. It's not. It's the Midweek Fix with me, Gav, this evening. Jamie is not here this week, so it's going to be a really basic show where we don't throw all graphics at you and stuff like that because that's Jamie's bag. But it's big birthday celebrations in Jamie's today, so he's had the night off. I believe there's garlic chips involved and watching football, so it's a good birthday. I don't even know if it's his, but it's a good birthday anyway. With me, oh no, before we do that, don't make a mess of this, Gav. What we're talking about tonight, Leeds versus Liverpool, we're going to have a quick chat around that. We're going to have a chat around Brazil and FIFA and all that stuff that's come out today, and we're also going to talk some winners and losers and Liverpool jerseys and whatever else. So what we're going to try to do is we're going to try to get through the Leeds, Liverpool, Brazil stuff in the first half an hour of the show, and then for the last half an hour we're going to do winners and losers because people really like it, and we're going to give the people in the chat a chance to throw in their winners and losers, and we'll have a little bit of a chat about it if that's okay. With me this evening I have got Phil Egan and I have got Keith Plunkett. 3-man band this week. 3-man band. I have the most
Lloyd said Fred were a 3-man band, I think it must be said.
I have the most hair, so I'm the winner this week. Overall. But lads, it's great for you to join us. And listen, this show is brought to you by Sienna Steps. Please go and support this. The link is in the description for everything you need. The update from that was that they've raised enough money to send Sienna to America to have her treatment. But like that's only half the battle. The battle is when she comes home for all the rehab and stuff she's going to need. So we'll have a little bit of a chat about that towards the end. But please, if you can, check out the link in the description. And whatever way you can help, whether that's donating or sharing, absolutely go and do that. Phil, I'm going to come to you first. I've said we're going to keep it very basic tonight, so it's going to be us three on screen, some messages coming in from people, and the winners and losers, they're all going to get a chance to do that later. But the first thing I want to come to is the international break is over. It's just been completed in the last couple of minutes, and we look forward now to Leeds versus Liverpool. Is this a fixture you've missed, away to Leeds?
Yeah, there's some great memories. Some good ones, some bad ones. I always remember the bad one was the Viduka one because it was you know those. Do you remember those 11:30 kickoffs where you'd go to the pub to watch them and you kind of thought, "Geez, it's a bit early to be starting." Whatever about when you're away over a game, it's never too early. I mean, you can have pints in the airport, that's fine, but going down to your local at 11:30 and you know, there's still that smell from the night before in the pub, especially it was a Saturday morning game, and obviously Viduka scored the goals, and Liverpool were 2-0 up in it. But there's a few Leeds fans in my office now. They're looking forward to Sunday. They think that they're going to have a good old cut off Liverpool. Wouldn't read too much into last season's game. Obviously, there was no one at the game. I think conceding a set piece, that's hopefully something that won't happen this weekend. I know obviously the Chelsea game there was a set piece scored against us, but I think that was a bit of you're not going to see too many goals like that, the one that Havertz scored, but it'll be a good one because you know Leeds will come to play, so there'll be plenty of space for Liverpool, and I think that'll suit Liverpool. So it'll be end to end, and it's just a case of having to be clinical, because I found with that game last season when Liverpool were 1-up, they butchered a few chances then, and then they paid for it in the end. So hopefully, it'd be interesting. Look, I know obviously we're going to talk about the players that could be missing, but still, it looks like it's going to be a fairly strong team anyway. And thankfully, the Van Dijk update is good news, because there were 6-0 up. Second minute of injury time, goalkeeper plays a short pass to him, and you're just thinking, Jesus, like that could have been a lot worse. So he's fine.
Van Gaal is the manager, isn't he?
Yeah, his third stint.
Yeah. Told you. I said this ages ago when who was losing their job the last time?
One of the other managers that gets sacked and gets it again a few years later. You've only had about 4 managers in the last 25 years.
Frank de Boer was at the Euro.
I knew they'd just bring back a Van Gaal or a Koeman.
Big advocate.
Something like that.
Gus Hiddink.
Yeah, a massive update from Raymond Cox, of course, who literally, I think we helped deliver his child last week on the show. He said, "Hello, boys. The baby is 1 week old. Currently feeding him as I'm watching the podcast. Top lads." There you go. Ray,
happy birthday, young boy.
If you can give us an update every week around 10:05, we'll make sure to update people, as the child is now the official sponsor of the Midweek Fix. Keith.
Yes.
Phil touches on something there. You know, we've seen some great Liverpool days at Elland Road. I remember one going back, and I want to say it was around 91, and I think Liverpool were about 4-0 up at Elland Road at half time and ended up winning the game 5-4. And I remember John Barnes just being absolutely unbelievable. And then the Viduka won, and there was some cup wins there as well. We bashed them in a couple of games. But how big is the crowd going to be? Because, like you said, Anfield, Elland Road last season, 2 good games, but no fans. But this is the one, like Leeds were up for it against Everton, but they're going to be really up for it this one, aren't they?
Yeah, I've said it before. I think the 2 teams that suffered the most from lack of fans was Liverpool and Leeds. And Leeds had a great season last year and had a great finish. But I just think if they'd have had Elland Road, I hate Leeds, and I grudgingly respect them because of the hatred I have for them. You know what I mean? Like, I just think they're a very big supported club. They're a huge club. I think of Leeds, I think of a huge club, even though they were out of Premier League for so long. And it's actually, I thought, you know, at the start of last season, we played them in the first day, and I'm like, Jesus, you know, if when they get a crowd into Elland Road, they'd be tough to beat. And it didn't happen for them, and it's happening this season. That place will be rocking. There's a rivalry there. They don't like a lot of people, Leeds, in fairness to them. Yeah. I wouldn't take it personally. They like nobody. But it's going to be a great game, and it's going to be a hostile atmosphere. And you know what? I like Leeds in the sense that I hate them, but I like them as well, because they are a big club. They're well supported. Their fans are militant. Even in Dublin and Ireland, you go out anywhere, and I'm hearing it all the time. Little phone will ring, and it's that marching on to get our team, and I'm like, that shitebag's a Leeds fan. That's a Leeds fan. This is a Leeds fan. There's loads of them. Like the bleeding multitude of
them.
There's
loads of them in Dublin. Loads of them.
Remember the night in the Camden when we went for the last game of the season? Yeah. The league. And they got promoted that night, didn't they?
No, what happened that night was Liverpool were lifting the title, and I think Leeds had drawn away at United. They were on before us that day.
No, they would have been in the Championship then at that stage, because they were only promoted.
Oh yes. Sorry, no, United had played that day and drawn at home to somebody.
Yeah, United.
And there was no United fans there. There was no United fans.
The Leeds fans were out early. They were early.
They were getting that title as well that night.
Yeah.
That's what it was, That's what it was.
There's loads of them, real loud, real early. But I like that, you know what I mean? I think they're a good fan base. There's a load of them, as I said, even over here, and I think they did suffer from having it. But one thing I will say is I thought Leeds as a club acted a little bit disgracefully last season when we played them at Elland Road. All this shit about greedy Liverpool, about the Super League thing. It's all well and good when you've got sort of fans doing things, but when a club starts, you know, interfering with all that, they put something up in the changing rooms or something like that. There was a few bits and pieces that I thought was a bit petty by Leeds. But look, these things happen, you know what I mean? It's just one of those things that happen. But look, I think Leeds and Liverpool is always a good fixture. It's usually a tasty one, and at Elland Road, you'd expect them, in theory, you'd expect Leeds to be a tough nut, but Phil touched on, they play very open. You know what I mean? We saw them against United. I think they'll play like that in a lot of away games. At home, I think they'll fancy their chances. And, you know, it's going to be a tough ask. I think you can get through this. I was confident up until Brazil ruined everything for everybody. So we will come on to that in a while and touch on that. But look, let's see what happens. Let's see how it goes.
Owen Burke, just referencing that game I did earlier, he said that game should have finished about 9-6 to Liverpool. He said Barnes was unplayable that day, and Lee Chapman was like Pele. Do you know what it was? It was definitely like the early 90s. Someone can confirm. If you look it up, Leeds 4, Liverpool 5. I think it was end of 5-4.
Was Cantona playing for Leeds at that stage?
No, I don't think he was. But Liverpool destroyed them first half and then come out, and I was like, what is going on here? But go and have a look at it. But John Barnes was just, that's why he's the best player that's ever played with Liverpool. Go and watch him. Unbelievable. Let's not get into that row though. Right.
Won't get a row off me. I think he's great.
Yeah, I know, but I usually get a row off me. Yeah, I usually get a row when I say John Barnes is the best that's ever played with us, but that's just me. He's fucking unbelievable. So going forward into Sunday, you know, I think it's going to be a cracking game. 4:30 on the Sunday as well. You know, but there's going to be a proper atmosphere there, and as Keith said, Leeds play open, and as Phil said, the fans there, it's going to be a ridiculous atmosphere as well. With the away fans there as well. In fairness, I think that the away fans are down the sideline, aren't they, at Elland Road, as opposed to over in one of the corners. But I have to get to this stuff about Brazil and FIFA and everything else. And this kicks off, and Phil, I'll come to you first. This kicks off on I want to say Sunday night, because I'm brutal with days. Basically, Argentina are away in Brazil for a World Cup qualifier, and lads just start coming on the pitch. Like the Brazilian like NHS or HSE come on and go, listen,
Yeah.
this
The
isn't
Brazilian
on.
Tony Hoolan.
Yeah, the four
Yeah,
used this off. You know what I mean? Four, like, it was like they were playing four bangers and just said off. And I was like, no, I wasn't watching it. I just seen it on social media. I was like, what is going on? And then I turned it on. I was like, what is going on here? Like, how long were Argentina in the country for a start? And how did it get all the way to teams being named or getting to stadiums being named, warming up and starting before somebody come on the pitch and went, you shouldn't be here? It all started there, Phil. Like, it was a joke, wasn't it?
Yeah, and it was Sunday, and there obviously had been talk about this, about the players that were going over, the two from Spurs and the two from Villa, and as well coming back that they were going to go to Croatia so they could get back into the UK. But yeah, it seems bizarre that they would wait till the game starts. But was that just their way of thinking this is a way of showing them up? Because like the great thing about the Brazil-Argentina game is like the rivalry. Obviously, they played in the Copa America final earlier in the summer, and like the needle in the games it's what you want, like, because there's certain
each other.
And there's certain fixtures over here in Europe that can't happen. Like certain teams are kept apart because for political reasons, whereas Argentina and Brazil, there's no chance of that. They just it's a rivalry that obviously developed on the pitch, but they absolutely hate each other. And it was what was it, 4 minutes, and that was it, game over. And then by the time I had turned on, the Brazilian squad were training. They were all just and then Messi came out with a bib on, a photographer's bib. So it was all a bit nuts. And now the stuff today is just the next layer of it, where they're digging their heels in. Basically, they're pissed off that certain clubs, Premier League clubs, wouldn't release their players, and now they're hitting back at them, except for Everton, because they're thinking, no, we like you because you let Richarlison play at the Olympics, so that's fine. But it affects a few of the clubs. I mean, it's a plus for United because Fred's unavailable.
Yeah.
For Liverpool, obviously, you're missing Alisson and Fabinho. That's a big loss. Like, I know Firmino was injured, but Alisson and Fabinho is substantially bigger. Now, Leeds would argue that Rafinha is a massive loss for them, and he is. He's a quality player. But I wonder, will this get sorted before the weekend? Will something happen?
I want to come on to that in a minute as to what the outcome might be. But Keith, just looking at it, like, and I asked the question a minute ago, Argentina rock up in Brazil, right? Yeah. With these four players from Premier League based teams. Okay. Yeah. Now, for anyone, I was very confused today, so I asked a couple of questions on Twitter, because me, Keith, the world passes me by, and I'm doing other stuff, and I don't know the ins and outs. So I just see this stuff happening and go, oh, and I genuinely start asking people questions as to why it's going on, and I couldn't understand that. I know the Premier League said, no, look, you don't have to release players to countries that are red listed. So that's the one thing the Premier League have said. Obviously, Brazil is red listed. Brazil apparently have made special dispensation for their players, but this isn't about special dispensation. That's only a thing for when you're in Brazil and coming out. The Premier League were saying, no, you don't have to go. You can keep them here. You can, as a club, can keep them here. It doesn't matter what dispensation is made in Brazil or Australia or wherever it might be. This is her decision, right? But and we get on to that in a minute. But Argentina rock up there, get to the stadium. All the players must have had passes, because you see players coming into the stadium. They all have these passes on them, so they can go where they like. And they go out and warm up. Teams are named, and then they go on the pitch. And 4 minutes later, these fellas are on the pitch saying, "Get them off." Like, I can't get my head around that at all, Keith. I can't get my head around how that would happen whatsoever. And did these four fellas just rock up at the stadium with like, we're the FBI, let us in? Like, it's a farce, Keith.
It is a farce. It is a farce. I mean, look, it can't have been a surprise. They must have known. Argentina named the squad. Argentina had these players in there. These players got into Brazil. Now, I'm sure they didn't go straight to the stadium from the airport or wherever way they travelled. They must have known. And there was apparently negotiations between CONMEBOL and Jair, what's his name, Bolsonaro, was it, the Brazilian president, to allow the games to go in, because Brazil were very relaxed about COVID concerns when they jumped in to host Copa America at the last minute. So it's only seemingly after that they've made these changes that people coming from the UK would have to quarantine, except for Brazilians, apparently. It's just a shit show. It's just an absolute, how, as you said, Gav, how that can go to being 4 minutes into the game. Is this like a film where these four jobsworths are running through the stadium, bursting through security to get out onto the pitch? How did they get onto the pitch? How could they not have stopped this 4 minutes earlier? Do you know what I mean? It doesn't make any sense. And I don't know. FIFA, we'll come on to them in a few minutes, but I wouldn't imagine that FIFA are looking too kindly on Brazil and all this without the shite that happened then today, just from that whole instance, because as Phil said, this is one of the biggest matches in the international calendar, and the fact that they just won the Copa America in Brazil and they're going back there, this game is huge. There's needle on both sides, more so than usual even, and how this farce was allowed to happen, was allowed to get where it did,
Laura Duffy says the National Health Service told them not to play the four players, keep them in a hotel after they found out they lied on their immigration forms.
Found out they lied?
But this is an international footballer.
Yeah,
it's not like fucking Keith from Rings End trying to get into bleeding Brazil and saying, no, I haven't been in the UK. These are four
fake glasses and a moustache
arriving in to play the biggest sporting event probably in Brazil that weekend. It's not, I know where Laura Duffy's coming from. If they told them that's what to do, that's what to do. But why didn't they? I just can't get how they just come in and start being on the pitch. Do you know what I mean? But look, the game was suspended. I don't know what they're going to do with it now. Kev O'Sullivan reckons that Argentina should have just been awarded a 3-0 win, and away we go, because Brazil, I don't know what way that works. Brazil didn't uphold their end of the bargain by having the game go ahead. I'm not too sure. But moving on then, right? So the game doesn't go ahead, Phil. The game doesn't go ahead, and we're all like, right, shit show. Who cares? Let's move on. And then Brazil urged FIFA to stop these Premier League teams from playing. I think it's 5 Premier League teams affected, 8 players in total. Stop them playing any of the Brazilian players, okay, in the Premier League this weekend because of the 5-day rule. Okay? Now, I'm going to say something very, very stupid here. All right? Are Brazil playing it today, tomorrow? Is this where this is coming from?
I'm not sure if they're playing tonight now, but obviously none of the players. The bizarre thing is none of the players are over there. So this is the thing that kind of had me confused. Where it's not as if they're over in Brazil. They're with their clubs. This is the problem. Now. This is just people wrestling for. This is a power struggle.
Yeah,
and it's concerning because obviously you hear then with FIFA, you hear Wenger coming out talking about having World Cups every 2 years, and that'll be the World Cup is great because it's every 4 years, and it's one every 4 is great, but one every 2 then it doesn't become as special, and players are being run into the ground as it is.
What did he do with the Euros then?
Euros is every 4 as well.
Yeah, but if the World Cup's every 2,
yeah.
So if you have the World Cup in 2000 and say the last World Cup was 2018, right? So if you have 18 and 20, the Euros is due in 20. So do they start clashing?
They'll do a cozy little odds and evens thing, won't they? And they'll have Euros every 2 years and World Cups
every 2 years. So every season
will
be a Euros or a World Cup.
That's the way it's going to go. And, even Phil, sorry for jumping in on your point, you're saying, to condense these tournaments isn't good. But FIFA have already started with, lashing loads of teams into them as well. And that's just, the spectacle of a World Cup isn't what it used to be. And I know when you're younger, you look at things differently and you enjoy things differently.
But the reason behind that is because FIFA were making such a load of money that smaller countries were giving out. And saying, you're making all this money and we're not getting any of it. So it's to keep everybody sweet by saying, right, we'll put fucking 60 teams into a World Cup or whatever.
48 teams, yeah.
But
48 teams.
I know the whole FIFA thing's another issue. But getting back to you, Phil, Brazil have this game. They know the players can't leave. That's what's happened in England. The UK have made that decision. The Premier League have made that decision. and they play the game. Well, they don't play the game because it doesn't happen. And now they're playing again. I think Brazil do have another qualifier.
They're playing on Friday morning at like 1:30 in the morning, Thursday night,
Friday morning. Yeah. So basically, what they're saying is that these 8 players, I think it's 8 players from 5 clubs, that are affected, because they haven't been released to play in this game on Friday, they should not be allowed to play till the following Wednesday or beyond that, because that's the 5-day rule. Now they're urging FIFA to do this, and the word is, Phil, is that FIFA are a bit uneasy over this and urged the Premier League to roll back. And the Premier League said no, in the interest of our clubs and our league and our players, when we are telling our clubs not to release players to red listed countries. Where does this go now, Phil? Because if FIFA turn around and say, okay, the 5-day rule, because the 5-day rule does stand there for them reasons, and if Brazil have a point, what did the Premier League do?
Yeah, the Premier League, I think the Premier League are going to try and hold firm, and then it's up to FIFA to make a decision. But even if FIFA turn around to the Premier League and say you can't play them, like, can they really stop them? Can FIFA stop Premier League players or the Premier League from? They run their own league, like, so. Are FIFA in a position to? They're in a position to recommend this is what you do, but the Premier League, I would imagine, would just say thanks very much for your recommendation. We'll take that on board, but we won't be upholding that. And it's up to the clubs what they want to do, and obviously they want to play all the Brazilian players. So it's the same thing will just keep happening because. Like the case numbers are still quite high, and
we've another international break in a month.
Yeah, exactly, and then the following month as well. So the same thing. This is why it is going to be interesting to see what happens, because basically it'll set the tone for how things go for the next couple of months, and it's unfortunate because the players want to play for their countries. Look, I know. Like when players go off and they play international games, and you see they get injured, and you're like, oh Jesus, like but. Look, players. If you have international players in your squad, you have to expect that they're going to have to go off and play international games. That's just the way football is. If you've no international players in your squad, then that would suggest you don't have a very good squad. So it's part and parcel of it. It's uneasy when you hear of you see Harvey Elliott getting a knock on the under-21 duty, then Naby Keita, Jesus, like we haven't even talked about that. Like that kind of stuff, like where you just think. The international break complicates things, but it's not going anywhere. So, like, we just have to accept it. But I don't know about the Premier League accepting FIFA's recommendation.
I don't think they can, because the Premier League are the ones that put this in place. You see, if
this isn't a club against
no, but it's not even a government thing. Like Red Steve says, FIFA will back down and put money on it, right? I think more chance of the Brazilian FA backing down, because if the Premier League turn around and say, right, all these clubs are, like somebody said in the chat there, we'll go to court over this, and we'll run it through every court in the land, and we'll cost you an absolute fortune. They'll back down, because money, it's always money. But I don't think the Premier League can stop these players from playing at the weekend, because the Premier League are the ones that made the decision. No player can. You can release them if you want, but you don't have to a red list country, because if they go away, they have to come back, they have to isolate for 10 days. And if they come back for 10 days, they're potentially missing 2 league games and a Champions League game, right, in the case of Liverpool. And the Premier League made this. If this was a government thing, right, the Premier League would probably have to go, well, the government have said it, and now this fucking government are having a go. And now we haven't got a leg to stand on because it's above us. But the Premier League have made the decision. And I know FIFA aren't happy with it. I'll put it to you this way, Keith. Can you see those players playing this weekend? Because I can't.
I would imagine so. But isn't the rule, like, if they push the through that if they play them, they get they don't get the points, or they automatically get a defeat or some shit like that. But that's if it's going, that's if it's a club going up against the federation, whereas this is the whole Premier League doing it, so that muddies the waters a bit. But I wonder, I can see them playing. I think the whole Brazilian thing, this whole nonsense about Richarlison being okay, I think that absolutely dilutes the Brazilian argument beyond fucking, any fact, any leg they had to stand on. I think it's diluted by that. But I wonder, will it put pressure on the government to sort of, and I know they wouldn't, But with all these internationals coming up, if the same thing happens again, will the government have to step in and give exemptions to, sporting athletes or whatever going to these countries and not having to isolate when they come back? Because the Brazilians are well known for this. They're always threatening about the 5-day rule. Brazilian FA, like they're ones that they feel they have an awful lot of poke that they can do this in Brazil, and I don't think it goes away. I think if the Brazilian FA or the Brazilians were to back down now, that doesn't mean they're gone away for good. I think that's just right. We're going to sharpen our knives and we're going to come back again. So I think it might come down to the government having to make an exemption for them.
Yeah,
how likely that is, I don't know, because we didn't want to bar that. But as I say, it's at the end of the day, as you say, Liverpool play Leeds and we're going to miss Fabinho. We can do without, really. We could just put another midfield in there. Not that we could do without, but it's you'd manage. To miss Alisson is huge. But we also have the AC Milan, isn't it, in the week? And we're going to be missing these players as well. So it's affecting everything.
They'd be all right. They'd be all right for AC Milan.
Would they?
Yeah, they'd be okay for AC Milan. Yeah, it's only the league game that's the issue.
If they're 5 days,
yeah, I know, but
I don't
think it's 5 days from the game. I think it's 5 days from a certain point. And I think we're okay. We're playing Wednesday, aren't we?
Yeah.
So we're okay. We're all right. Whatever way it works, we'd be okay. It's not. It's. I don't think it affects that. But you're right in what you're saying. Like the government, you see, if the government said they're free to travel, right, and then the Premier League said no, we're not letting them, then they're in trouble. But this, it's the Premier League have made this decision.
Yeah.
It's not like they're going against somebody and then they haven't got a leg to stand on when they come back. Do you know what I mean? Like, oh, everything is fine, but you're just doing this because you want to do this. Do you know what I mean? The government aren't openly letting you go somewhere and come back and not quarantine. Like, if the government turned around and said, you can come back without quarantine, and the Premier League turned around and went, well, we're still doing no red list countries, right? I don't care. We're not doing red. Then they'd be in trouble because basically they're going against their government, right? And then it'll be a case of, well, hold on, your government are okay with this. So you're just making this decision to keep your players for your own benefit. Now, the Premier League are doing that anyway. But what the Premier League are saying is that if the government's protocol is it's okay and we go against it, fair enough, but it's not that. It's not that. And the Premier League are acting on red list country. Government aren't fucking saying a word. We're making that decision. But we'll have to wait and see. Somebody made a great point though. Lucky we're playing Sunday. Because
that's what I was going to say. Who's the first team up?
Man City. Manchester United as well. Manchester United are early on Saturday, aren't they, against Newcastle?
No, their Spurs are early against Palace on Saturday.
Is United not playing early?
They're on a 3. They're both playing on 3 on Saturday. Yeah.
Okay. But I can't, like, so what did he do then, right? If Liverpool play Alisson and Fabinho and Rafinha plays for Leeds, how do you give both teams a defeat?
Yeah, true.
You know what I mean? How do you give both teams a defeat?
That could work in their favour. And the bizarre thing is, like, Alisson played one game, was it, a Copa America? Ederson ended up. Fabinho doesn't get into the team. Obviously, Firmino's injured. Rafinha was called up for the first time, and so. But as Keith said, the Richarlison thing makes a mockery of it because it's just like they're spoiled little kids throwing their toys out of the prams. Like, we like Everton because they're nice to us, but we don't like the rest of you because you're big meanies and we're not letting our players play. It just looks ridiculous. But there is talk now. So if there's no Ederson, Stefan, the subkeeper, is he tested positive for COVID. Yeah. Scott Carson could be in goal for City.
but going, that's what you're getting to. You know what I mean? That's absolutely what you're getting to, and it's just madness. But the Richarlison thing is so weird. Why they said that is beyond me, because basically what they're saying is that the Premier League have made a rule about all our players because our country is red listed, and we're going to fight back with this by saying, right, ban them all for 5 days, but not Richarlison, because even though he didn't show up and Everton play in the Premier League, he went to the Copa America and he went to the Olympics, so he's okay. You can't do that. That'd be like the Premier League. If you reverse it, the Premier League saying, and this isn't because it's Everton. It's like if they turned around and said, right, Everton, City, and Leeds are on this way, but we like Liverpool, you'd be turning around. That's just a fucking farce. But if you switch it around and said, right, Brazil, you can have players from Everton and Leeds, because we don't like Everton and Leeds, so we're sending their players over. But City and Liverpool are our darlings, so we're going to keep our players here to protect them for our product going into next Saturday. They'd be fucking killings over. They may have got somewhere, but when they start saying Richarlison is okay, we're not going to tear them over the one brush because Richarlison won the Olympics with us. It's absolute madness. I'd be amazed if those players don't play at the weekend. Absolutely and utterly amazed. And you know something? I would fully expect, I'd hope that the Premier League come out sometime tomorrow, latest Friday afternoon, and said, them players are playing, and this is the reasons why, and you know the reasons. Do you know what I mean? At the end of the day, Brazil can't overlook what's going on with COVID in their country for the sake of a football game. You know what I mean? That's the end of it. We've had this for 18 months in Ireland and the UK and across Europe and the world. We've had this where you can't go here. It's simple things. You can't go on holiday. You couldn't go 5 kilometres from your house at one stage, 2 kilometres at another stage. So they can't turn around and go, well, this football match is more important than the health and safety of these players. And we have to understand that. It's a red list country because of the amount of cases and the amount of deaths or whatever it might be and how it's spreading in that country. Do you know what I'm saying? It'd be a different issue if fucking England wouldn't have released their players into Ireland to play during the week because we're not a red list country. But it's absolutely, I just can't get over how stupid it is.
The fact that they're deporting the 4 Argentinian players coming from the UK, but they want the Brazilian players coming from the UK, it's so blatant. Yeah. Everything about it is weird. Everything about this whole thing stinks. And that's why I think FIFA need to be, they don't want this. Infantino doesn't need this sort of headache, you know what I mean? And he's going to have to sort it out, and he's going to have to do something, you know what I mean? He can't put his head in the sand over it. I think, Gav, you're right, the Premier League need to come out with a strong statement on this and do it soon, because teams have to prepare. Liverpool have to prepare with Adrian or Kelleher and go, but City will have to do it with Scott Carson, or they'll have to prepare it with their first team.
Yeah, but it's on the Premier League, because if the Premier League had kept their mouth shut on this and the British government said, you're not allowed to go, you're not allowed to travel to that country, the Premier League and Brazil kicked up, the Premier League could easily turn around and go, well, it's not our decision. It's not our decision, and they're having a go now. And it's actually not. It's between the Brazilian FA, our own government, and FIFA. And we'll have to go with that. I know they run their own enterprise, the Premier League, but still, the FA in England will have something to say over it and have to talk to their government about it. But you said earlier, Phil, what was the plan with the Argentinian players? How did the Argentinian players... So we weren't releasing players to Brazil because it's a red list country. How were those Argentinian players getting out of the Premier League to go to play in Brazil and come back without anything affecting them? Are you saying they were going to go to a different country, test negative?
They were going to go to... I know they were coming back to Croatia, and that's how they're going to get back into England. But the problem is the fact that they went against their clubs, the Argentinian players. They said, no, we're going. We want to play in this game. So I don't know how that was received in Aston Villa and in Tottenham with the 4 players going. But as I said, it makes an absolute mockery that they obviously went over, and obviously were told that they made up a few lies on their forms or whatever. But the Brazilian FA would have known these lads were in the squad. Was it a case that they just had to check as soon as they saw them on the pitch? They were like, right, now we can actually lift them, because they were named in the squad, but they mightn't start them and they mightn't actually be in the ground. But surely they would have seen them coming to the ground. They said they all have to have accreditation. They all have to be accounted for. So, it's one big mess, and there's so many contradictions to it. So that's why I think it'll get sorted. The Premier League, in terms of the managers, they'll start doing their press conferences tomorrow for weekend games. Yeah, Klopp does his on a Friday. But as soon as you start getting Premier League managers, that question is going to be asked all the Premier League managers. So I'd be very surprised if the Premier League don't
get out there
sort of a statement tomorrow where they basically let us know what the story is. Because, Jurgen Klopp and Marcelo Bielsa need to know if they can pick these players. And, I'd be very surprised if if they weren't playing at the weekend.
But the thing is, they're going to plan for these players. They're going to plan, and they are going to pick them until they're told differently. Because it's only the Brazilian FA urging FIFA to do something. FIFA would have to turn then to the English FA and in turn to the Premier League and go, that's the 5-day rule, and that's it. Now, the Premier League, I think it's all on the Premier League now. The Premier League have to stand up and go, no.
Yeah.
We made this decision based on the health and safety of these players. Now, it is the water's a bit murky for me that Argentinians can leave, right, and go back to Croatia, test negative, and come in to the UK. You know what I mean? Because they're literally going from Brazil to Croatia, and that's an okay country to come in from. You know what I mean? They're not tracing them in that way. That's a bit murky for me. And the argument there from the Brazilian FA could have been, well, why can't air players go off to Croatia after this and test negative and come back in?
Yeah, it's a bizarre one as well with Croatia, because I was obviously over there a few weeks ago, and they're in the EU. But chatting to people from England that were over there, even if they had COVID previously, or even if they were double jabbed, they still had to get tests to get back into the UK from Croatia.
Yeah.
Even though all we needed was our pass, just go to the airport, scan it, and we were all good. So that's why there wasn't actually that many English people in Croatia. So that kind of surprised me. And I see a text in from Dan there saying Buendia was apparently given permission. He was the only one that wasn't actually in the squad then. Yeah. He wasn't in the... So, yeah, it's an absolute mess. And, look, I know the whole 18 months has
Laura Duffy is saying there that the Argentines have to stay in Croatia for 10 days. Now, if that's true, that comes back onto the Premier League again by saying that strengthens the Premier League's argument by saying, look, you're sending the players off that we're paying every single week to spend fucking 3 weeks away from us or 2 weeks away from us. It's absolutely insane what's going on. It should be fairly fucking straightforward. If it's a red list country, you don't go. But you're probably going to need something from the British government and the Premier League tomorrow on this.
I don't really see the problem though with if they're going to play in South America, surely they can just get all the tests done. Testing every day, and basically they come back and they can't be cleared to play until they test. They return their negative tests or whatever. Like this is this is football at the highest level. Like surely they can organize that.
Yeah.
I wonder as well, before we move off this, if they are to stay in Croatia for 10 days, if the clubs are sort of sanctioning coaches to go over and train them, because it wasn't Klopp's issue about this, and a lot of them was the players get fucked into a Holiday Inn in the airport or whatever when they come in. It's not like they go to a spa hotel where they can sort of retain their fitness. They literally have to do what any of us three would have to do and sit in a hotel. Do you know what I mean? So unless they probably do have to stay 10 days in Croatia, but they can train and they can sort of keep their fitness up. Do you know what I mean? It could be something along those lines. Whereas if they were to go straight to England, it's straight into a hotel, and they lose the fitness and the muscle mass, as I think Klopp said. So it could be something along those lines.
Shane Downs is making threats here. He says, don't pick any of these as your losers, please. Now, we're off Argentina, Brazil, and the Premier League and all that. But it's a mad one. And you know what? Some people blaming the Premier League saying for sticking their nose in. Others are saying no. And I kind of go along with that, because if I wanted to go to Brazil tomorrow and it's a red list country, I'd have a decision to make. Where do I go? Because I'm not going to be able to, when I come back, I'm going to have to do this and I'm going to have to do that. It's the same for football clubs. You have to make that decision. And like, if my employer turned around and went, listen, if you go there, you're going to be gone for the time you're gone. I'm going to miss you 10 days beyond that. And it's a red list country. The policy is, that you don't have to go. We don't have to release you. Yeah, fine. That's how it works at the moment. That's just the way life is. It's a bit of a weird one, but I think we're going to have to wait and see now. We're going to have to wait and see, because it's all on the Premier League now, because they made that decision. I did read today about FIFA being a bit uneasy about that and did try to talk to them, and the FA stood their ground, or the Premier League. And the Premier League aren't standing their ground without, in my opinion, the support of the clubs, and the clubs having some sort of dialogue with the Premier League and going, listen, we're going to make this decision. Are you okay with that? are we all going to back each other in this?
Yeah.
Because they all do, you know. Like,
That has to be the key.
yeah, they're all rivals, but like at the end of the day, they all sit around the table every couple of weeks and they all chat. You know, they're all business partners at the end of the day. That's the truth of it. So it's a bit of a weird one. Quickly, I want 2 or 3 minutes on this. Keith, how many of the new Liverpool tour jerseys are you going to purchase in the next week or so? Because it's Marmite. People either love it or hate it, and it's blown my mind how much opinion there is on a football jersey, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm going to buy 7 of them, just one for each day of the week. Look, I think it's crazy the reaction to jerseys by people that don't buy or wear jerseys. Do you know what I mean? My take on, you know, I don't like yellow jerseys, Liverpool, even the old ones, the classic ones. I don't like them.
The one with the red pinstripe was beautiful.
Yeah, the red pinstripe's good.
I wouldn't wear it. Do you know what I mean? The last few they've had, the Warrior one, the Adidas one, just yellow jerseys. They're not my cup of tea for Liverpool personally. I think Liverpool. I prefer green as a third option or black than yellow personally myself with white. But people are going mad because the checkered collar and the bit on the sleeves. We had the same thing last year with Nike with the home jersey because it had a V on the back, and people are going apeshit over that. And when you get it and you see it, it looks grand. It's fine. We had it with the greeny thing last year as well. That was, you look like waves and all that. People going mad. The turquoise one, going mad about that, was grand. We had it with the black one, with the checkers, the Aston Villa 7-2 job. It was fine. This year, again, the pink, people going mad. You see it, it's not pink at all. It's like an orangey, corally colour. And the crew one, which I did buy, I thought was lovely, the new away kit. You know, people go mad that don't buy them. Do you know what I mean? I don't wear them. My son would wear fucking any of the Liverpool jerseys, and that's who I'd be buying it for. And that's who the target market is, for people who buy them and are interested. Why people lose their shit over that who don't buy them is just a bit mad to me. Do you know what I mean? Each their own and all. But if you don't buy them, don't get annoyed when Liverpool. And another thing, but it's slightly off topic, is when people give out about the price of them. Standard price across all teams by Nike. Do you know what I mean? It's not like Liverpool are charging €140 to buy this yellow thing. Well, they don't. You know, that's the standard price for a Nike Vapor jersey or whatever. And, you know, the same for Spurs, the same for Chelsea, the same for other Nike clubs. And people just lose their shit over jerseys. You're not being forced to buy it. If you like it and you do buy them, buy it. If you don't. But I just think it's crazy. And I like jerseys and kits and all, you know, and I just think it's mad how people react.
Well, I have to be honest, I can't remember. I think the last time I bought a Liverpool jersey, we're probably going back 6 or 7 years. I only bought one because I was buying one for my daughter, so we'd have this matching one. It was black. It was the black one with it was just all black, I think. That's how long ago it's been. But I don't get too fussed over them. I do like the yellow. I like the yellow with the red, the pinstripe from the, say, 80s. You know,
King Kenny,
yeah, and the pinstripe. I thought they were beautiful. And do you remember that red one with the white pinstripe? And I loved. But like, I don't pay any attention to what colour Liverpool are playing in. Like, put it this way: Liverpool go and win away at Manchester United in a yellow jersey and win 4-0. I'm not going to go, oh yeah, fuck the jersey shit, innit? You know, the sort of way. And that's just me. That's just the way I am. But I do get where people are coming from. It looks a bit of a lazy design for me. And, you know, you do all see all these concept kits and people going mad with the concept kits because the starter pack for a concept kit is red or yellow or whatever Liverpool colour. Stick Adidas on it because Adidas will always get you the hits. Yeah. And then I did see a beautiful one, though. It was a concept kit, Nike, red or green and white. It was beautiful. And your man even had, like, Van Dijk photoshopped into it. It looked amazing. But overall, for me, it's just a jersey. You know what I mean? And many times will they wear it. Because the red, how many does it clash with? And the ecru, or whatever colour you call that, I think could be used against most teams after that. The yellow, it's a third jersey, we'll see, but I'm not really bothered. Phil, are you buying one?
No, but like the thing that really cracks me up about the jerseys is if Liverpool lose a game in that yellow jersey, it'll be almost like there'll be stats on how many games Liverpool played in this jersey. How many games they lost, their win percentage record, like so much made of it. Now, the only thing that annoys me sometimes about jerseys is an unnecessary change of strip when you don't need it. Like, imagine now Liverpool wore the yellow kit against Leeds on Sunday.
Yeah.
You'd be just, that annoys me now, because you'd be like, just wear your red.
Yeah.
There's no clash.
And we do see that.
Yeah, you see it just to remind people that they're wearing this kit. And obviously sometimes you get we saw it in a preseason game as well this season, or at the mix match of
Bologna, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In Switzerland, yeah.
But yeah, like I wouldn't be losing sleep. Like, if there's a few Liverpool fans in the office and did you see the new Liverpool jersey? It's horrible. I was like, I really don't care. Like, I was just happy to see Minamino got picked.
But
so it might be the only time we see him in a Liverpool jersey this season.
He looked well, and didn't he? He looked well.
Yeah, I loved him in the bucket hat, Minamino.
Yeah.
Red Steve says Gav's a part-time fan if he hasn't got time to hate night kits after a win. Okay, I'll try my best to I'll try myself to bring myself down after a win if we wear that yellow kit, Red Steve. Red Steve hates me. He just constantly has something going me. Look, I'll be waiting for him.
Phil Casey's born, or is it?
I don't know. He hates me. Red Steve does. Krellin with a super chat. He says, "I love the kit as much as Phil loves Harry Kane." Okay, he doesn't like that kit very much.
But do you know what the thing? Do you know what the thing is with the yellow kit? Everyone's going mad, as I said, about the red and yellow checker, and they come out and they say, and all the promo and all is the flag behind, the red and white check flag, which is very distinctive to Liverpool. And people are still going mad over it, you know what I mean? Like, they always do something and they'll explain, this is based on this comp. Whether it's right or wrong, you know what I mean? This is what the reasoning for it. And people go fucking mad. They lose the shit over it. And it just doesn't make any sense at all.
If I'm designing a Liverpool jersey, a yellow one, I'm genuinely just putting a red pinstripe down it. I genuinely am. Just put a red pinstripe down it and lash your fucking thing on it, and you'll sell it. Because what I find with people is that they want something different, but if it is too different, they want something that they're used to. Do you know what I mean? And they go back to put the pinstripe on, or just leave it plain yellow.
You'll never please everyone.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the reason why the red one, the last one from, was it the last? No, not the last one from New Balance, the one before that, the really dark blood red.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and that's why that was a huge hit, because it was fairly plain with that collar on it. You know what I mean? And it was just really plain, and people liked it. Do you know? It's just it's a mad scene. The jersey scene, isn't it? It's a mad scene altogether. But I just wanted to see what you thought of it. Right, it's 10 to 11, so we're gonna go for another 15 minutes. Winners and losers. We're gonna do them quick. But I do have one in here, and I'm gonna throw it at Phil, because let's kick it off, right? But Shane reckons, Phil, right? Shane reckons that the loser is the ref against Ireland for Portugal. He was a disgrace. Is he a loser of the week for you?
Jeez, I'd forgotten about him, because it was this day last week that Ireland played Portugal, and do you know what? I wouldn't be one for moaning about referees, because look, Portugal could have won that game by a few goals if Ronaldo scores the penalty. And funny enough, actually, Ronaldo didn't play at the weekend, and Bruno Fernandes took a penalty and he scored against Qatar. But they could have won. But the fact is, Ireland were winning. I think it was the moment that just absolutely annoyed the shit out of everyone was when he apologised for booking Ronaldo, because Ronaldo took his jersey off. And I'm sure photos will emerge in the future of the referee with Ronaldo after the game on his moment of history. Yeah. So, that referee, and I was getting stick off United fans the day after, because I mentioned, and it was nothing to do with the fact he had reffed United and Leipzig in the Champions League last season. And I mentioned it. It wasn't the case that this guy was saying to me, "Why are you mentioning United?" I was like, because I was just pointing out that he does Champions League games. He's at a certain standard. Yeah. And I was almost hoping as well, the fact that I referenced United Leipzig, did anything spring to mind? Did anyone say, actually, I remember him, he was brutal?
He was terrible in that match. There was loads of dodgy ones in that.
Well, United won 5-0 in that game. So,
was that the Old Trafford game?
Yeah. So,
I was thinking of the other one when there was loads of decisions. Yeah, sorry.
I'd be interested to see what he's like in other games now. because it could and if he's a good referee and he had an off night because of Ronaldo, then that proves the point of a lot of Irish fans that he completely got overawed by the occasion
It,
and he wanted to
it,
be part of history.
I watched the highlights, and it was literally like, it reminded me of like something like the WWE. You know the way like the referee gets involved and
Yeah.
it's all scripted, and he's like, and I was like, is this fucking actually happening? Like Ronaldo
Yeah.
gives a fella a slap, nothing happens. He's just given, and then 5 minutes injury time, wasn't it? 6 minutes in,
Yeah.
keep going,
Yeah.
and then he's like you said, he's booking him and smiling at him and apologising to him. Absolutely mad stuff. But
You got the
all your-
impression that he would have played on until, if I had it
Yeah.
on to 7 minutes, he would have played on in that game. And it does sound like sour grapes, like, because Ireland got beaten. But it genuinely, like, I know a lot of our listeners maybe aren't Irish, they're wherever UK based or wherever else, and they wouldn't have seen the game or probably seen a lot of the stuff. But like, I know we're moaning about a ref here, and it always sounds a bit iffy when you do that, but it really was, like Phil touched on it there. If you saw him, like the big apologetic face when he's booking Ronaldo, do you know what I mean? And you're right, there's going to be pictures of him in the changing room with his arm around him, getting his photo and all that, because it just didn't seem right the way he was reffing it. Now,
Yeah.
it feels right. Portugal battered them, and Ireland played very well because they were up against it and they were putting their bodies on the line. And Portugal were going and going, but it did have that air that game would have gone on for another 2 minutes if Ronaldo hadn't scored that. He wasn't going to blow it up, and then as soon as he scores it, tip off, boom, whistle gone.
Yeah.
it was mad.
I was kind of thinking, even if Ronaldo didn't get the header, the ref will come up and head it in.
Yeah.
It's like something you'd see in an ad, like a comedy sketch.
John
or something.
Smith or something.
Owen Burke says the only thing the ref didn't do was kick the ball in there. Now, Anti O'Chill, I think that's that. Has he changed his name? He used to be someone different. I think the loser of the week are the disgraceful racists that hid in the Hungarian crowd. Listen, I can't get over what goes on in Hungary and how it just continues to go on, and nobody seems to do anything about it.
Not only do they not do anything about it, Gav, they seem to enable it, like with regards to the rainbow, like armbands and things like that. There's not only the racist, the homophobia and all that.
It's ridiculous, and there's no place for it. And there was a good chat on, I think it was the Carnage show last Thursday. Chris Pajak from Redmen and Callum and stuff were talking about it, and Mo Stewart from the Anfield Rap, and they put it brilliantly. If you go back and watch them, they put it brilliantly. My winner of the week, can I start with a winner?
Yeah, go.
Arsenal Football Club. Didn't have to play. Didn't lose a game. So Arsenal are my winners of the week, surprisingly enough. I did see them linked again with Antonio Conte, and I thought they won't have the balls to do it. They'll continue on with Mikel Arteta. But winner of the week for me, can I? Do you know what? Arsenal, that was a joke. I'm only messing about Arsenal. The winner of the week for me, and it's not even football based, it just blew me away this week, was Leona Maguire, the Irish golfer, at the Solheim Cup. For you people that watch this show know I love golf, and I was absolutely glued to the Solheim Cup, right? And mainly because of this girl, because she's kind of come on the scene in the last into my thing in the last year or two. She was a brilliant amateur. I think she held the longest number one. She was number one for the longest amount of time as an amateur, and she kind of came into my side, probably about a year and a half ago, I'd say. I just kind of kept an eye on her. And then I seen, she's in the Solheim Cup, and I watched, and she's my winner of the week. Europe as a team going out to win the Solheim Cup against the American golf fans they do me head in, but they were absolutely brilliant. And Leona Maguire, 4.5 points out of 5 for someone playing that Force Ryder Cup. I have to give her a shout out because I
thought you'd be in Cavan tonight.
No, I wasn't there last night. That's why I look a bit rough. But no, I have to say I was absolutely down to the golf, and it was unbelievable. And the standard of play was unbelievable from both sides, in fairness.
Yeah.
But Leona Maguire to turn up there as if she owned the place and was just going. And you know what I loved about it? She held a putt on the first day, the first session, the first day. It was about 6 foot. And she just stood over it, banged it in, and literally just fist pumping and ran to her mate, as if yes. And she just kept doing it. And I was kind of saying to myself, she's going to start annoying these Americans. And then I got fully on board with it. Yeah, jump around when you win and all. It was a real act of defiance from her, and I loved it. So she's definitely my winner of the week, along with the European team. Anyone want to shout a winner?
I'll Phil, you go, you something.
Yeah, well, I think I was in the Aviva last night, and Gavin Bazunu, lads. Like,
That was my winner. I fucking wish I'd have gone first.
yeah. Well, look, we can share winners.
Yeah.
Like he was just unbelievable, and I don't want to say that Queeving Kelleher is a loser, but it must be so hard for him watching now because Bazunu is getting ahead of him because he's playing, and he's playing in League One now. He won't be playing in League One for long. We know he's on the books at Manchester City.
Mm-hmm.
He's on loan, but he obviously saved Ronaldo's penalty last week, and he had one moment as well last week in the Algarve where he let a ball slip and he recovered. But watching him last night, the saves, but also, like, I remember this lad as a 16-year-old when he saved that penalty for Rovers in Turner's Cross.
Yeah.
And now you look at him and he's just stretched. He's getting bigger and bigger. And
he's an absolute monster.
He's got such a great temperament. But there was one moment last night. So I was behind the goal that he would have been playing out of in the first half. So I was behind the goal that both goals were scored into.
Mm-hmm.
But in the second half, he pinged the ball at Adamida. And honestly, it was like a laser. It was just, it was unbelievable. Just the trajectory of it was just, he absolutely pinged it. And I just thought, this lad is just going to be an absolute superstar. And I wonder, will somebody mention his name to Pep Guardiola this week at his press conference? Will they say, you've got your young keeper, 19-year-old out on loan at Portsmouth. Don't know if you saw him, Pep, get man of the match for Ireland against Serbia. And I'd be interested to see what they think of him. But obviously, Ederson has signed the long-term contract there. And we know goalkeepers can go on for a long time. But Bazunu looks like he's got the world at his feet. He's absolutely sensational.
Bazunu is a phenomenal goalkeeper and always has been. I'm a Rovers fan, and I know of him since he's really, really young. And people at Rovers that I know of him even longer, since he's 9 years of age, and just said he's a phenomenal talent. He plays for Rovers. I think he plays 4 games for Rovers. I think he keeps 4 clean sheets, saves a penalty. Like you said, late on down in Turner's Cross against Cork, who were a good Cork City side at the time. And anyone I've spoken to that know him more than I would from just seeing him playing at Rovers said he has everything. He has everything. He's physically, you see him, like, if you go back 2-3 years and look at him, he was 16 when he made his debut at Rovers, and people are like, what is going on? 16-year-old, but he just looked like a goalkeeper. You'd see but then now you see him, and like you see him doing an interview last night, and he's like fucking Anthony Joshua standing there, the size of him,
Yeah.
But not only that, really good with his feet, confident, good shot stopper, good decision maker. He's a massive presence now, and I think that's a huge thing for him. And I don't know what City would do, but if I'm Gavin Bazunu over the next year to 18 months, I'm knocking on someone's door and saying, is there a chance for me here? Because there'll be clubs, if he keeps the way he's going, there'll be clubs absolutely lining up around the corner to come and get him, because he looks like he has the big thing for me is his temperament, because you do see keepers, they're great shot stoppers, or they're good with their feet, or a bit of both, but this fella just looks like so cool about everything he does. But I think he absolutely brilliant. He's definitely a winner of the week. Keith, you don't have to think someone else up.
No. It was Bazunu, but I was looking at the Irish sort of team in general, and even though it's a pretty shitty time for Irish football, Stephen Kenny is getting lashed out of it, and I don't think you could put many managers in there to deal much with the pool of players that maybe he has at his disposal, just because of the level that a lot of them are playing at. But there is sort of green shoots coming through there, and Bazunu sort of going in. And look, Queeving Kelleher is a very talented goalkeeper, but if he's not playing first team football, he'll be behind other goalkeepers who are playing regular. But Ireland now have a situation where they've got 2 really good young goalkeepers there, and it's excellent to have. But they've also got other players throughout the team. I mean, John Egan is starting to really come of age in that team as well. And I know he's an older player and he's been around for a while, but he's starting to, I think he won the Irish Player of the Year again this year, did he? Phil, he won that, and that's a good sign. And the young fella, Ahmed Debele, is it?
Omo Bami Daly.
Omo Bama Daly.
Yeah,
he looks a great young talent as well.
Again, he's got the problem he has now is he's at Norwich. He played a bit in the Championship last season, and Norwich are after bringing in Ozan Kabak. So
Yeah.
does that makes it he's getting further away from the first team. Adam Ida as well, playing for Norwich, has played more senior football for Ireland than he has for his club. So that's the problem with a lot of these young Irish players, that they're not getting a game. But I would wonder what Caoimhín Kelleher has made of it all, where he's sitting on the bench. And look, goalkeepers have a great bond together because they train together and they're happy for each other. And I'd say he's looking, going, like, do I need to get out? But Liverpool are not going to let him go, because Klopp is thinking, I'm not letting him go because he's better than Adrian.
Yeah, but the only thing I would say is that with them both being young goalkeepers, this situation could easily change in 6 months. As good as I rate Bazuna, and as much as I rate Caoimhín Kelleher, in 6 months' time, Portsmouth could be having a terrible time, and he could be part of that, And Kelleher could have been getting games in the cups for Liverpool, or maybe Alisson has had injuries and stuff like that over the last couple of years, and it could change. He could come into an international break where Kelleher gets the nod because Portsmouth aren't doing well. Bazuna is part of that, and we're having this conversation in a couple of international breaks where we're going, who do you pick now? The sort of way. So there is swings and roundabouts with it, but they're both two fantastic goalkeepers, but how that young lad has shown himself over the last week or so is absolutely unbelievable.
Yeah, and even great. There was 25,000 there last night, but the place was absolutely rocking. Like, I was in work today now, and geez, my voice is in bits. Like, I let some roar when Ireland scored, and then Omobamidele had the chance at the end where Bazunu fizzed one out to him. He takes it on the turn and starts a move. And like, these lads are 19, playing in front of a crowd. Really, okay, they played against Azerbaijan. Now Omobamidele didn't play against Azerbaijan, but like, they're just taking it in their stride. Like, 19, I'm always in awe of young sports stars when they come onto a scene and they just absolutely boss it, where they look like they belong there, and sometimes they're just fearless. Maybe they say, like, when you get older and you're getting to the end, where actually you could be more nervous because you think this could be last chance saloon, whereas these lads are just starting out in their journey.
It's interesting, and like, there's probably a discussion to be had some other time with regards to the Irish setup and the manager and what players he's bringing in. And like you said, they look a bit fearless, which is a good thing. But there's a whole much bigger argument, or a much bigger conversation, I think, to be had around that. 5 minutes to go. Any winners or losers in the chat, throw them in. Keith, do you want to give us a winner or a loser?
Let me think. I had me loser down as the Brazilian FA, but we've sort of gone through all that. So we won't go back to that. But that was sort of what I was looking at as Brazil as the losers, and then the sort of the green shoots coming out of Ireland as the winners. But we could look at maybe Wojciech Szczesny having a stinker for Poland against the great Phil's mate, the great Harry Kane tonight.
What a player! He's better than Robert Lewandowski now, because he scored when Lewandowski didn't score.
That's how it goes.
But it was built up before the game. Harry Kane versus Robert Lewandowski, as if it was just the two of them on the pitch.
Yeah.
Doing like shooting drills. Yeah. Oh Christ! Now, in fairness, look, he struck it well, but Harry Kane was dreadful tonight, and then he got the goal, and everyone will go, well, that's what he's there for. But it was poor goalkeeping.
The goalkeeper is poor. I think he sees it for 30 yards and it moves a bit of foot, and he should be saving it. Roy Keane said it afterwards. He said a top class goalkeeper just says that. But you're going for Szczesny, is that right, Keith?
Yeah, well,
any winners? Are you in bad form?
No, me winners were the Irish young fellas.
Okay.
They were me winners. Okay. See, a lot of the stuff that annoyed me was the reaction to Liverpool jerseys and shit like that, So we've done all that. We've done all that to death. But I'm just interested looking at Szczesny, and he's still at Juventus. I'm assuming he doesn't get a sniff there, does he? Phil, you might know more, does he?
Yeah, no, he does. He plays. That's the bizarre thing. He plays, like.
Did they not replace him now?
Like, he came in.
They didn't get Donnarumma. Yeah, that's right. They didn't get Donnarumma.
Remember Buffon obviously was kind of coming towards the end, and then he left and he went to PSG, and Szczesny was playing, and you're like, like, obviously that they were still winning league titles, but they didn't win last season. But never rated him. Like, the problem with a goalkeeper that thinks they're better than they are, you always have an issue, and I always got that with him. I remember also as well, like he had a real arrogance about him. I mean, we played them in Warsaw. Ireland played them in Warsaw in 2015. We lost to them. He wasn't actually starting that night, so it must have been Fabianski. But he walked by in the mix zone and he had his little suitcase, and I asked him, it's like Wojciech, I probably pronounced it wrong. And I said, could I have a quick word? And he just looked at me as him, who the fuck are you?
Yeah.
Like, why would I stop
we're in the
and
mix
talk
zone,
to you?
buddy. I'm a journalist. That's what we do. We hang out here.
Yeah.
But then again, like, he could have been worried the fucking Polish HSE were coming in to take him away because he hadn't had his vaccine, because that's how it works on football grounds now.
Yeah. So, he, to be honest, getting blanked in the mix zone is a regular occurrence. Remember, Ireland played Holland before we went off to the Euros, and Van Dijk was playing for the Dutch, and they hadn't qualified.
Yeah.
And somebody asked him, he walked into the mix zone, and it was the first time I'd seen him in person, and I was just looking at him going, holy shit, like, he is, like, I know you see him on the pitch, but to actually stand beside him, and someone asked him, Virgil, and he just looked, he's like, why? Like, why do I have to talk to you? He was pissed off because the Dutch weren't going, and basically there was a party atmosphere at the Aviva because we were getting ready to go to the Euros. Nathaniel Klein, he blanked me after a Liverpool game.
Jeez, you get blanked a lot, don't you, Phil?
Yeah, what's going on?
There might be an argument that you need to be replaced in the mix zone.
Yeah.
You know,
wait till you do the Oscars, Phil. None of them are stopping.
I'd love to see the Oscars.
The red carpet, Ryan Seacrest,
yeah.
Like he'd be getting all the exclusives and just be walking by.
That's the key. You just hang near Ryan Seacrest and you pull them over them when they're finished. Sorry, Cher, come over.
If you went to the Oscars and just leaned on the barrier with a big bag of cans and just took the cans out, and we were like, yo, whoever they are, and they'd look, cans, this fella's cans, he's different. But I don't know, I'm worried for you now in this mix.
You might get Barry Cahan over for a chat then if you have a few cans and he knows you're Irish. You get Colin Farrell if he was still on the scene, you might get him as well,
The cans is a good idea.
Laura Duffy asked the question, does Phil think it may have been him?
I think it is.
It might be him.
I think I probably just look too angry. I do probably look too angry. And maybe
maybe
aggressive Phil.
Like, I don't know what's the male equivalent of a resting bitch face. Maybe I have that.
Yeah, we need to check that. We need to take some headshots of you and then send them around and get people's opinions. Phil, have you any winner before we leave?
Yeah, I tell you who's another winner, Hansi Flick, and he's back in, or he's taken over the Germany job, and they're banging in goals. They played Armenia the other night. I was watching this now, and Armenia were top of the group. Germany had only beaten Liechtenstein 2-0 away. Now, Liechtenstein away can be tricky, as we know from the 90s, Big Jack.
Yeah.
But then it was the first home game, and they're playing in Stuttgart. They beat Armenia 6-0. And I think after watching the way kind of things ended for Yogi Löw, and remember they lost to North Macedonia earlier this year. That was before the Euros. But I think Germany in the World Cup next year it's not rocket science. Of course they're going to be in the mix, but Hansi Flick, even tonight, now they won again tonight.
4-0 was it?
Yeah, Timo Werner scoring for them. He brought Marco Reus back. He scored there the other night as well. He didn't start now tonight, but Hansi Flick is going to get them playing the way they should be. He's going to get the best out of them. They just needed a bit of freshening up. So I'm going to be definitely keeping an eye on Germany and the Hansi Flick journey.
Yeah, dead right, Phil. Sorry, Gav, because Yogi Löw was there for so long, and it went so stale a long time ago, and they kept with it, and it's an aging squad. And you look at the talent they have; they don't really have the centre forward maybe that they need at the moment. But there's so much talent in Germany that they needed new ideas, they needed fresh blood, and Hansi Flick, he fell into the Bayern job, but he done a great job there, and I think he is a good choice to get Germany back up and running. So that definitely wants to watch, because I grew up, Germany were the dominant team in Europe, and they sort of come and go, but I love seeing a good German side, and I think he's the right man to take them at the moment, and he will bring through young players, and there's some great young talents coming through there as well. They had that young fella Adeyemi on the bench, didn't they? That Liverpool are looking at off.
He actually scored.
Or Salzburg, isn't it Salzburg?
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Olivier with a good shout. He says the losers of the English FA for charging a lad for misconduct because of a tweet he wrote when he was 14. I've seen that. That's outrageous. It's
Who's did this time?
some lad from Middlesbrough, I think. I did see it. Like it's going back about 6 years or something. He was a young fella and he'd done a tweet and they've found it and they've said, look, basically they've reprimanded him for conduct.
Didn't Harvey Elliott have to do an apology last year for the same sort of shit?
Saying something at 14, like it's absolutely ridiculous.
He was slagging Harry Kane, wasn't he?
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
that
was. Right. He had to come out and do it.
Shouldn't be doing that.
We should get him on here. We should get him on the Midweek Fix someday. We're all about that.
Fuck about it for an hour about Harry Kane. We'll just sit here. But yeah, no, Olivier's spot on. That's just madness. You know, a young fella 14 on Twitter or whatever he was on and does that, and they're punishing him now for it. Is absolutely the game. Like it's gone mad. You know, going back on what people said years and years and years ago, and bringing them to account for what we think of stuff today is, you know, it's ridiculous. And don't get me wrong, when he was 14, whatever he said was more than likely not a nice thing he said, but he was 14 years of age. You know what I mean? Like if he brought everyone's fucking comments from 14 years of age up, they wouldn't have enough time to fucking charge all the people. You know, the sort of way. So it's mad. Like be out the door. Loads of overtime for the people doing the charges, but other than that, it's absolutely ridiculous. Right, Keith. Anything else before we go?
No, all good.
You happy?
Happy bunny.
Good stuff. We done well without Jamie and all the graphs this week, didn't we?
Yeah. I wonder how he's getting on.
Don't know. He's big Bertie.
Burger, beer, and an England game,
and
it's not even his birthday.
That's
Could
right.
be by this time, in fairness.
Yeah, and Jack Grealish was starting, so he would have been
happy.
He got
Bertie got knocked out the window at 8:15 tonight, I'd say.
Yeah. In fairness, Grealish got the lumps kicked out of him as usual. There was a nice bit of needle in that Poland England game.
Yeah, there was. Yeah, they were getting stuck into each other. I liked it. But look, Jamie will be back next week unless there's someone else's birthday or Jack Grealish is playing. If Jack Grealish is playing next week, if Liverpool are playing next Wednesday, so the Midweek Fix next week will be on Tuesday, just to let people know, because we will cover the Liverpool game on Wednesday. Phil, anything else before we go?
No, I saw a few people mention Steve Clark. They had a good win. Scotland got an important win there against Austria. Now, they were a little bit fortunate. I thought the penalty, it was soft enough, but Lyndon Dykes put it away. Austria missed a load of chances as well, but good result for them. They're kind of back in the mix now in that group. Northern Ireland, we're playing Switzerland tonight. Somebody mentioned Northern Ireland. Actually, Conor Bradley came on. Yeah. And towards the end for Northern Ireland, right full. Kind of, you're looking at him and you're thinking, how is he going to progress at Liverpool? He's still quite, like, you remember when Trent came into the team, he was so scrawny and skinny looking, and you look at him now and that's what obviously Conor Bradley, as he gets older, he'll fill out. And I'd say we'll see him play for Liverpool this season, because you'd imagine he'll get a run like in a League Cup game, maybe an FA Cup game as well. Yeah, hopefully. He looks a real talent. He absolutely does. Right, nothing else from me. I'm good. I'm happy. I think we done brilliant. 11:15. Phil won't know what to do with himself now with all this extra time off on a Wednesday night. He's usually 12:15. He's holding his eyes open with fucking matchsticks, but no, we got out there nice and early tonight. Thanks for everybody for watching, commenting. Make sure you hit the like button on the way out. If you haven't subscribed, make sure you do that as well. Share it around. Don't forget Sienna Steps, please. Link is in the description. You can find stuff on our social media as well. But in any way you can help, whether that's, sharing it or donating or whatever it might be, please do that. As I said earlier, they have raised enough money to send Sienna for this treatment in America, in St. Louis, in November, but they have to stay there for a month, so it's going to cost an awful lot of money to be over there, staying for a month with the treatment after the operation and stuff like that. And then when she comes home, she's a lot of rehab to do as well. So please, don't be worrying about all of us. And if you don't listen, tell you what to do: don't like it and don't fucking share it. Go and donate, and I'm happy, right? I think that's a fair deal. That's how important it is. Yeah. So
Gav, before we go, very quick, I'm not remembering a good one, right?
A good one. This better be good.
No, I dug out my Manscaped gear today, right, and gave me balls a bit of love, right, with the ball deodorant, right, and that smells amazing, right?
Yeah,
It's good gear. I feel like you're on it. Manscaped ball deodorant,
Right.
top of
Whopper.
the range, right? Top of the skill. So
Right.
I was at
Top
a
of the
mini
bus.
World Cup then. A mini World Cup there with my uncle playing, and I was standing at the fence watching it, and someone beside me, like, they happened to mention, "Jeez, that's a lovely smell, isn't it?" And I'm convinced it was the ball deodorant that they could
Right.
smell.
Okay.
So anybody who's not on it, Manscaped
Okay.
ball deodorant, it's
So
a game changer.
You're
It's a
promoting.
game changer.
You're promoting Manscaped through an essence. Coming off you at mini World Cups. This is a new angle.
Yeah, I'd like to think it was me.
Yeah.
I'd like to. It had to have been. Where else could it be?
Well, unless you were standing beside a bakery.
No. It definitely was the ball deodorant. I can
yeah.
definitely, I can vouch for it. You know what it's like. You know it's good gear,
100%.
and if you have it on, you can smell it. So definitely it, yeah.
Right, okay. Well, then we should all be lashing that stuff on and just hanging around mini World
100%.
Cups to see what the comments are like.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
See what the reaction is.
Maybe I should wear it in the mix zone.
Yes,
that could be it.
Fucking what you should do. That's
there
what you should
go.
do.
Next
in
time.
the mix zone with like dollops of this fucking ball deodorant stuff on you.
Sorry, Wojciech, can I have a word with you?
Oh no, he'd be coming over asking you for a word.
Sorry, Phil, can I have a word?
180, it'd be unbelievable.
Yeah.
Go out and talk to Phil. The smell around him is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Just don't say your balls when the answer is though, because then
it
look a bit weird. But anyway, we've ruined the end of that show for people now. Thank God for that. But well done to Keith. Making people happy on mini World Cups. That's it. That's been the midweek fix. As for tomorrow, carnage. Friday, Sports Unplugged. Saturday, nothing. Sunday, you have 3 shows though. You have a pre-match, a post-match, and a Fatback 4 on Sunday. So, Sunday. Talk to you in a bit. Over now.